What's going on, everybody? Trader Bryce here with Small Cap Recap. Sorry we couldn't get this in earlier this week. We just had some scheduling issues come up, but I am going to be here today for the end of the week recap, and we're kind of going to go over, I know I'm going to miss some stuff because I kind of want to focus on the main movers, in my opinion, and kind of what the theme might be going into next week as long as we see this momentum hold up. I was telling Small Cap Rockets today, I think that in order to gauge whether or not this momentum will hold up going into next week or especially Monday, the first thing I want to see are some of these stocks holding gap ups into the after hours here, which we are into after hours, and some of them are doing just fine. What I also would like to see, though, is that gap continue for some new tickers on Monday. That will confirm, in my opinion, that the theme is hot, and then we can start looking for some maybe some multi-day charts of ones that haven't gapped up too much. As well as obviously playing the gap ups themselves. So that's what I'd like to see in terms of opportunity. But let's hop on over to the charts here. I'm in my little home studio here, so sorry if it's a little bit echoey. But here we go. And we're going to do something makeshift today. Ready? I'm going to shrink myself there we go. Look at that. Whoa. All right. So HKD was not the one I wanted to go over, but it kind of does fit the theme. So I'm going to go over that in just a second. Obviously, the one that I'm going over today is TOP, our main mover here. So yesterday, let me get a better chart of this up. Here we go. So this, no volume obviously, and had a little mini gap up here. Now this, I'll go over that daily chart in just a second. Little baby gap up here, and then it actually just gave back all of its gains, right? So it didn't really, this was a pretty tough one to just catch. I mean, the volume here was extremely light, and then we had that big, huge sell candle. Likely someone shortened this pretty big, and all of a sudden these squeezes just, go to the races, and we have this move up to, about 24. Actually, I think 24 on the dot, and then we got that halt up into close right into 20. Really, really great move there, and then after hours, it did its thing. I remember I watched for a couple minutes after hours, watching it go up over 30 and then up to 38. And not that I didn't think it couldn't go higher. I just knew I wasn't going to be trading it at those levels, and I had stuff to go do. So I got on out, and of course I checked my phone later, and it's up. The time I checked it, it was up right around here in the 120 level. It had just spiked up to 120, and then just the craziness that happened. Dips down to 48 and then re-squeezes to new highs at 256. I mean, that's just nuts. So really, really cool to see this kind of squeezer again. Haven't seen a move like that in quite a while. And I'm just glad to see again that this type of move is back, and it has led to some other really nice moves, especially today. And like I said, I know I'm going to miss some of the movers from today. But we had, and actually, let me go to the daily chart quick. Hold on, getting ahead of myself here. Let's go to that daily chart. It was a pump and dump ticker. This was a pump and dump IPO. This IPO'd at the time where a lot of this was happening. These IPO tickers were just absolutely getting demolished out of nowhere because they'd get repumped and then liquidate. Now what's interesting is what I guess I'm thinking about is were these types of charts right here that we're seeing on top, where they have this massive, it's a clear pump and dump, it's an IPO pump and dump. Are these dumps now turning into this squeeze, or was this just one that, unfortunately didn't, I guess unfortunately squeezed out a couple of shorts. I just wonder if this has anything to do with this, or if this was all kind of intraday action. So it'd be interesting to keep an eye on. And again, I think top is slightly different because this might have been what looked to have been, the start of a repump. So maybe keep an eye out for stocks like this. Now we'll go over to MEGL, kind of similar here. Low float, and it was an IPO pump and dump. And this one was a little bit different in the sense where it actually just faded off to fresh new lows. Then we had that gap up. So that was nice, but it was, again, one of those IPO pump and dump charts. HUDI surprised me a little bit. It just certainly was a pump and dump chart. Not really an IPO pump and dump. I remember trading this back in here. I mean, this was an OG, well, not an OG, but this was one of those 2021 pumps that I got to make some good money on the long side, even after the market had kind of slowed down a bit. Just because of, really it ran from 2 up to 30, 35. That's crazy. And so then we got this move out of it. Once again, it repumps. And we kind of already got that big move out of it, but more likely than not, after that dump, this just kind of inspired some movement here. So good to see that this theme is, generally kind of what we're looking at. So I want to, one, take a look at old pump and dumps, or I'm going to be keeping a very close eye on the recent IPOs that certainly did dump. GNS, well, not GNS. Well, if I think of it, I'll pull it up here. But JZXN, another similar one. This was an IPO pump and dump from about a year and a half ago. Oh, 2 years ago. Huge, just dump down from 49, liquidation all the way down. Never really bounced, ever. In fact, I remember keeping an eye on this back in 2021. Like, there will be a really nice first green day on this. And all of them just kind of would gap up and liquidate every time. And now we're seeing after hours here. This is another one of those charts. A little bit higher of a float, but it's also trading at 16 cents. So it's not really that low of a float. Or not that high of a float. So, I mean, then this ran. I kept an eye on this here into the into the end of the day here, and was thinking about maybe watching into after hours, but just was not really in the mood for trading after hours. I lose a lot of money when I trade after hours for the most part, so wanted to avoid it. But nice squeeze up to 66 cents here. It'd be really interesting to see if this has another pop on Monday, especially if any of these release news that are kind of just moving right now without news. That could be another really, really big way to keep this sector going, as long as they're not doing offerings. SATX. Now, I don't know if this one quite fits the theme, but this big dump, well, this was more of an offering thing, but this was just kind of that pump and dump. We had a really low volume run up from 13 to 79. I remember keeping an eye on this for a first green day here. Now fading off really hard. Once again, after kind of trying to repump there and toppling back over. Float's a little bit higher than I would like for it to be for the price. Well, oh no, I'm sorry. This is another cheapie. Which one was I thinking of? AMBI. This one could be another interesting one. Again, another one to keep an eye on. It's a low float. IPO kind of dump. I mean, it didn't really have that same drastic drop that a lot of the other ones did, when looking at top, when looking at not HKD so much, because I'm going to go back to that in a moment, but JZXN, those ones, it didn't quite have that same drastic drop, but I mean, it still did go from 25 down to 5. I mean, it just drained out, and it was a relatively recent runner. So I want to keep a really close eye on this, especially given that it's holding over this $5 low really well, right? I mean, that's not that it's a huge deal, because I mean, we're really only like $1.50 above where this started running, and we're still kind of under this 750 level, but it's at a spot right now where I still want to keep a very close eye on it, given what's running right now. Again, I think any of these, all they really need to do is drop news. So I think next week we have a really big potential to keep, or I should say we have a good potential to have some more of these runners, but I think news will help a lot. MCOM, this is the old HLBZ. Now, HLBZ did a name change, reverse split, everything in the books. They're a not a micro float, but an extremely low float, 6.2 mil. And it is literally just straight up liquidated. I mean, it's had some nice bounces, right? It's bounced from 20 to 120. That's a really good bounce. It's bounced again from here from 5. But overwhelmingly, this is really beat down. And just given the fact that something like Top was able to run up into the hundreds, I'm not saying I think this one will, but I want to keep an eye on it for a drastic move here too. So I think there are some really good setups right here that should be should have a tab kept on them. UCAR kind of already bounced with it. This was an IPO that just ripped up and then dumped the next day. This was just a couple days ago. Most of you probably remember this. Already had a relatively nice bounce. Could it go higher? Absolutely. It's just, I believe I don't know this for a fact, and I don't remember if this was the ticker, but I'm pretty sure someone used Dilution Tracker to check this, and the float's actually quite a bit larger than it looks to be. So I don't know, don't quote me on it, but I do remember someone mentioning that. And then FRC, this isn't in play at all, because this is obviously just like going really far down south, not looking great, especially after basically every other financial kind of collapse, especially in the crypto space, that's happened over the last year or so. But I just want to, once again, show how nuts this chart is. I mean, it was consolidating in the 12s a couple weeks ago, and now down to 2. down 64% today. That is crazy. But anyhow, let's switch back here. Hold on. Ooh, there we go. That's some of what I've got on watch, just relative to what's going on in this sector right now. And that's just kind of my thoughts on the sector. This is crazy. It's not really an actual sector. It's more just kind of a market theme, I guess. But, you know, at the end of the day, this is kind of what's hot right now. And as long as we get some sustained gap ups into Monday, I'll stay bullish on this regardless of how long it lasts, whether this is a day or two or whether this is a week or two. You know what I mean? I think there's a really good case for some heat in the market right now. So I want to keep really close tabs on everything on Monday. These are a few of what I'm watching. I'm going to do some more research over the weekend, obviously. So for those of you that are in small cap rockets, there will be a link down in the description below for those of you who want to. I think there might actually be a trial link. Go check that out. The market might be really hot next week, so you'll get to see what we're all about. I'm trading live every morning, Monday through Thursday, right at market open. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for joining today. Just wanted to say have a great Friday, have a great weekend, and that's about all I got. So make sure you like this video. Make sure you comment down below what your top watches are, and make sure you're subscribed and have your post notifications on. And I will see you back here next week. Later, everybody.
I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and thank you so much for being a part of the Stocks to Trade family. We just hit 100,000 subscribers, but our goal by the end of this year is to get 150,000 new family members a part of our channel. So if you haven't already, be sure to hit that like button, comment down below, hit the subscribe button, and maybe even turn on your post notifications. We cannot do this without your guys' support. So thank you so much. And if you want to see more of what we're doing, again, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and comment down below. We'll see you in the next video.